Hey everybody, in this video I'm here to talk about a Pleco breeding project that I'm on the verge of maybe quitting. I've had some setbacks and I just don't know if I want to continue with this project. This is going to be the albino L270 chocolate zebra Plecos. So anybody who's followed my channel for a bit now knows that I'm kind of obsessed with color morph Plecos, especially albinos, and the less common other color morphs as well. But there's not a ton of Plecos that are available in these variations. The most common one that you see is the albino, obviously bristlenose Pleco and common Pleco, but then there's also the albino L333 king tiger Pleco, but you don't see a lot of other color morphed hypencistrus. But there is the L270. So I wanted to get into this project for a while. I got 3 subadults from a friend, probably, gosh, it was maybe even 2 years ago now. And I've kind of just been sitting on them and growing them out, and then they kind of became adults, but they weren't really trapping. I couldn't quite sex them just yet. They were young adults. And then recently I had the opportunity to buy 8 more subadults, a bit smaller than the adults the 3 adults that I currently had. These were kind of between juvie and subadult. A seller was selling them, had imported them, and you don't see them imported too often. So I jumped at the opportunity and I bought 8 more. So the 8 of them came in, and I followed my typical quarantine practices. I had moved my 3 existing adults to a different tank, and I had these 8 specimens in their own tank. And I typically do the aquarium co-op trio of the Icex, the Paraclens, and the Masserin, but I might be butchering the pronunciation there. But I did that, my typical quarantine procedure. But despite that, all 8 of them, unfortunately, still contracted Epistylus. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've only ever written it. But they all unfortunately contracted it, and the part that kind of stunk was... this is kind of the downfall of having a rack setup like mine, is if you have a bottom row that's that low to the ground, you can't really observe it super well without getting down on your hands and knees. So I don't get to look at it every day. It's kind of every couple of days I might go down there and kind of get real close. But they did all come down with this illness, and I caught it what I thought was early on, but maybe I could have caught it earlier. Who knows? And they all unfortunately did pass from it in very short order. They only survived another day or 2 before all of them were gone. So anyway, I reached out to the seller. They agreed to send me a replacement of at least half the order. So 4 more came in, and I had to wait. Obviously waited a while. I nuked the tank entirely, and then kind of reseeded it with an existing sponge filter from one of the other tanks for the bio. So it wasn't until maybe 4 or 5 weeks later that I was even in a position to accept those replacements. So 4 more came in, and unfortunately, with the new order of 4, 1 was DOA. So I was knocked down from 8 to 4 to now 3. Those 3 did survive, so then they made it through their quarantine. They made it, another couple weeks. I played it pretty safe, and then I did add my 3 existing adults with these 3 smaller ones to make a group of 6. And I thought, all right, we're finally at a place where I can kind of let these all grow out and let them eventually start pairing with each other. A couple months go by, and then I'm dealt another blow just most recently. Again, it's kind of tied to the whole issue of this being a bottom row tank and me not getting to shine flashlights in there as often as I do with the middle row and the top row. 3 of the Plecos of the group of 6 decided to go in the same cave. And I had noticed it one day when I was, looking down there with flashlights, and I saw 2 or 3 of them in one cave, and I had just assumed it was because I had just come down in the basement and flashed the light on that they all kind of scrambled to one cave. I didn't think much of it. And I really should have, in hindsight, because a couple days, not even a couple, I think a day or 2 goes by, and I'm feeding, and I have all the tanks open. I open that tank to feed, and I find the smell is a bit off. It smells like something had died. So I take a look in that cave, and all 3 of the plecos are in the same exact positions that they were when I had first seen them. So it wasn't just a scramble when the lights came on. They had all managed to get themselves stuck in the cave together, and nobody could get out, and all 3 of them died. So I just lost another 3 in the group. So I've been dealt 3 separate blows with this group, and I'm just admittedly feeling a bit defeated. I don't know if I even want to continue pursuing this project, especially because of how infrequently the albino L270s are imported and made available for sale by other sellers. I tend to think it must be because it's a less popular fish in general. So I don't even know if I want to bother continuing with this project and breeding them and eventually selling the offspring. As much as I love albino anything, and as much as I love all the different color morphs, and especially when they're hypencistrus, I don't know. I'm 50-50 right now. I might just double down and buy more of them and cross my fingers that they don't get sick and cross my fingers that nothing bad happens again, or I might just sell the remaining 3 and just get out of it. So anyway, figured I'd share, I always share the wins, so I figured I'd share a loss too. Everything's not always rainbows and peachy. There's, some downsides to pleco breeding, and you have some losses. I guess the biggest thing I'd say is always follow super rigid quarantine practices, and if you have a bottom row of tanks, make sure you're, getting down on your hands and knees and checking them at least daily if you can. Those tanks often are the most neglected ones, and the ones that, don't see the most breeding success and don't see aren't always as healthy as the top rows of tanks, just because you're able to watch the top and middle rows better when they're at eye level and kind of pick up on things quicker when they happen. So anyway, if you've had the issue of 3 or more plecos jamming themselves in a cave and unfortunately dying, if that's happened to you too, let me know in the comments below. So I can at least feel not so alone in this issue. But anyway, if you found this video interesting in any way, hit that like button. And if you're new to my channel and you want to see lots of great pleco content like this, hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching.